Revenge films.
My ex-wife left me with my 2-year-old daughter for her new boyfriend. Her reason for cheating was,
You don't care about the family and you come home late.
My boyfriend makes more money than you and has a bright future.
that's pretty much the gist of what she said to me. The only reason I was coming home late was because I was staying late to train for a higher paying position to support the family. I was also the only one who made dinner and breakfast, and no matter how tired I was, I would take care of my daughter at night and change her diapers. But my ex-wife would leave our daughter with her parents to meet with her boyfriend. She had some nerve to say that I didn't care about the family. I may have had some fault, but there was no excuse for cheating on me. After I found out about the affair, the boyfriend's parents and my ex-wife's parents all apologized to me. But in the end, they had their own child's backs and just offered to pay me alimony to back off. Her boyfriend didn't seem to be brought up well and worked for a famous company but seemed to lack emotion. I fought for custody for a year, but the jury were traditional old men, and I ended up losing. I refrained from confronting the boyfriend to avoid any troubles in court, so all I got in the end was the $70,000 in alimony from my ex-wife and her boyfriend. The money included hush money from the boyfriend and money for taking my daughter, but the money didn't make me any happier. I lost my motivation and cried in pain every night. I couldn't stand living like that, so I gave $50,000 back for my daughter's child support, and got to see my daughter now and then in return. I got to see her a couple times a month, so I was able to watch her grow up. 3 years passed, and my ex-wife called saying that she wanted to talk about our daughter. When we met, she asked for more child support. I refused, telling her that I'd already paid $50,000. Then my ex-wife mentioned that maybe I should raise our daughter. I asked about her boyfriend abusing our daughter, and she told me that he had lost interest and was ignoring her. Not only that, "She doesn't get to buy food with my money," he would say, and wasn't feeding her properly. Honestly, I wanted to tell her that I didn't pay that $50,000 for him to be interested in my daughter, but I couldn't stand the idea of my daughter being with him any longer. So I happily accepted custody of our daughter. As we were preparing to switch custody, I hired a detective to investigate the boyfriend and found out something interesting. The boyfriend had quit his job and was unemployed for 2 years, and after the affair, he was disowned by his parents. My ex-wife was working a part-time job to make up for their lost income. Serves them well, I thought. It was probably the boyfriend's fault that the $50,000 was gone, and it probably wasn't being used for my daughter. And that's why my ex-wife had come to ask for more. I had a girlfriend at the time, but I was still worried about my daughter, and kind of over the idea of marriage, so I was keeping my distance. When I was going to take custody of my daughter, she came to mind, but my daughter was higher priority. So I asked her to break up with me. She reluctantly accepted at the time, but she messaged me a month later saying,
I've decided. I'm ready to be a mother.
I broke up with her in the first place because I didn't want to burden her. But she had decided that she wanted this, so I had no reason to say no. So we went to tell our parents. Her parents took in the situation and told us that first I was to live with my daughter. Then we were to see if my daughter could get along with my girlfriend. And finally, we were to bring our daughter to see them as often as possible. So I brought my girlfriend to meet my daughter. She took her time to think it through, so my girlfriend really tried her best to connect with my daughter. And my daughter fell in love with her quickly. Time and again, we brought her to see my girlfriend's parents. And even though they were awkward at first, they gradually accepted my daughter as their own. My daughter was a great sport about it too. She'd never had grandparents that would spoil her and called them Grandpa and Grandma, even before we got married, and they fell in love with her too. On the other hand, my ex-wife contacted me many times to see our daughter, but I told her strongly to stop being selfish and to wait until I felt it was the right time. She promised to wait and seemed calm. She was probably sick of her boyfriend, but that's none of my business anymore. I was on great terms with my daughter because I had always tried to be there for her, and she was fitting into her school well too. I couldn't continue to ignore my ex-wife, so I asked my daughter if she wanted to see her, and she said, and didn't sound too excited about it, so I used that as an excuse to prevent them from seeing each other. About 6 months later, I got married to my girlfriend, and we officially became a family. I took my daughter to see her mother after that. My daughter seemed happy to see her mother, but I hadn't forgotten how she had chosen her boyfriend over our daughter, so after a couple hours at a restaurant, I took my daughter home. My ex-wife whined about how she wanted more visiting hours, but this is what I declared to her. I have not forgiven you, or want to see you. I'm remarried and our daughter has a mother now, so don't bother us. You are her mother, so I will make time, but not while your life is messed up. Call me once you think you're fit to meet our daughter. She had no choice but to listen to me, and agreed to the terms in tears. I haven't heard from her since, and my daughter successfully graduated elementary. Then suddenly, I got a call from her. She said she wanted to celebrate our daughter's graduation, so I took my daughter to see her mother. My ex-wife had divorced her boyfriend and was working stably as a contract worker. She said she wanted to pay for our daughter's middle school uniform, but I told her, it's our right to spend money on our daughter. You gave up your right to do that when you gave her up. My daughter had already accepted my wife as her new mother and seemed awkward and didn't talk much when they met. When I asked later, she said,
I was excited to meet my mom at first, but I felt kind of guilty towards my new mom.
I felt bad for my daughter, but I couldn't forgive my ex-wife for what she had done, and didn't want to remind my daughter about it either. So all I could say was, I understand. But I can still remember the despair when I found out that my ex-wife was cheating on me, and lost my daughter on top of that. They were the saddest days of my life. And I won't forget how my girlfriend decided that she would be a mother for me. My ex-wife had neglected our child and spent all of her child support money on her boyfriend. But we came out on top. She may regret it heavily, but she was the one who gave up what she had, so she gets no sympathy from me.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.